Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, a magical place for...
Hi, ConnerTheWaffle here presenting you with NordVPN, the fast and easy way to have security for you and your loved ones while browsing the internet. With NordVPN, you can watch shows from different regions and countries, protect your data while using public Wi-Fi or surfing the spooky dark web. It's simple, let me show you. Nord can block malware, making your browsing safer and smoother by identifying malware-ridden files and stopping you from landing on malicious websites. I have never felt safer using Twitter on the subway system. And if you click that link down below right now at nordvpn.com/ConnerTheWaffle, you'll get 4 months for free on a 2-year plan. But I'm not done yet. Doing so is risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you want the best protection against hackers and even the government, then click that link down below at nordvpn.com/ConnerTheWaffle. That link again is nordvpn.com/ConnerTheWaffle. Thank you NordVPN for sponsoring this video. I was scrolling through YouTube the other day and saw this little horror game that all the Markipliers of the world were playing. A game titled The Garten of Bonbon. Now, I'll be honest, that stupid name alone filled me with unbridled rage. It's like the game was purposefully named that so all the 3-year-olds out there could properly pronounce it. And after watching the game's trailer, I couldn't help but think, man, horror games for kids are pretty much the worst thing ever. At first, the biggest offender that came to mind was, no offense, Five Nights at Freddy's. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh no, there's a whole hilarious world of horror games meant for kids. Now look, when I say horror games for kids, I'm not saying that these games aren't fun or even creepy. That if you're someone who likes these games, that you're a stupid baby who might as well be playing it with the Mattel GameCube controller. That's not what I'm saying. More so that these games clearly have a targeted audience, creating marketable plushies, t-shirts, coloring books, etc. All with their cute on the surface but with a dark secret mascots plastered all over them. All of this can be attributed to the internet. When your favorite colorful-haired Let's Player is screaming at their monitor for 20 minutes, kids are gonna notice. And today I want to focus on the big games as well. I know that there's plenty of Sesame Street and spooky SpongeBob games that were literally made by 10-year-olds. I don't want to talk about those, just the big names that literally created this new market of children's horror. I think my first exposure to this was with Sonic.exe. Yeah, the creepypasta game. A totally real and haunted Sonic game that had an evil Sonic going around and breaking the 6th commandment on all the characters, complete with blood and jump scares. Creepypastas were super popular in the early 2010s, and I wish I could forget the world I lived in, back when every game was just a random fictional character and adding .exe at the end of it. It truly was a horrible time. Sonic.exe though was the only one to ever keep its popularity, spawning official sequels and loads of fan games. Young Sonic fans definitely took an interest in them, probably thinking to themselves, oh, you thought Sonic was for kids? Think again, idiot. Sonic.exe were young fans' chance at having Sonic be more mature and scary. The amount of plushies I've seen for sale at conventions is unreal. Even having Sonic.exe mods in games like Friday Night Funkin'. Yeah, over 10 years later, Sonic.exe is still alive and kicking. It's crazy. Now, I always felt like Sonic.exe was fairly niche. Unless you were someone who liked Sonic and creepypastas, there's a good chance you never would have known what Sonic.exe is. No, what the world needed was a mainstream horror game that immediately got the attention of everyone. This is Five Nights at Freddy's. The game that single-handedly put Markiplier on the map and made MatPat a bajillionaire. The game just dropped online, existing as a niche little horror game at first, until the aforementioned Markiplier made a video of him playing and going, "Fucking fuck!" And that right there made FNAF a $1 million franchise. Everyone was playing Five Nights at Freddy's when it came out. Even my friend who doesn't spend any time on YouTube downloaded this game on his laptop to show me. It's kind of a perfect game conceptually. Taking place at an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese-like location, Freddy's Pizzeria was immediately a familiar location to so many people. Anyone who's ever been to a Chuck E. Cheese and saw that giant rat filled any child with immediate fear. The gameplay, however, is really what got players hooked. On paper, it's pretty simple. You're clicking through security cameras trying to see if any of the animatronics have moved from their locations. It's really scary coming back to a room and seeing that one of them is missing or staring at the camera as if they're mocking you. If any of the animatronics happen to come near the door, you need to shut it. But if you're just 1 millisecond short of catching an animatronic, one of the 4, or I guess 5 technically, animatronics will slam your laptop shut and jump in your face, letting out the most ear-piercing and obnoxious screaming you've ever heard. That's why people played the game. It's similar to the Maze game in the mid-2000s or any classic jump scare video. You're meant to play the game with someone who's never heard of Five Nights at Freddy's. You know that they're going to fail, and you're just waiting for the moment that Freddy screams in their face. At least, that's how I experienced it. I never seriously sat down and tried to beat this game. I never really considered it to be a traditional game, more than I did a jump scare simulator. I feel like a lot of people felt that way. At least, for a bit. Yeah, game theory, more specifically MatPat, would make videos on the super dark and secret lore of the Five Nights at Freddy's universe.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to
Xbox Live!
This would absolutely take this game series to the next level. When the second, third, and fourth games came out, kids didn't even care about the stupid jump scares. They were more interested in playing through the Atari minigames that would drip feed the most vague piece of lore. Which of course MatPat would make a 30-minute video on. As for FNAF 2 through 4, I didn't really pay any attention to them. I thought the first game was a cute little jump scare novelty and didn't find much more interest beyond that. But I know I'm totally in the minority. Go into any GameStop, Target, or Walmart. You'll be hard-pressed to not find a giant section full of Five Nights at Freddy's Funko Pops, plushies, pins, the list goes on. All of which aimed at kids. Freddy, Foxy, Chica, Bonnie, all being sometimes cute, color-coded animals for the kids to remember. I don't think it was Scott Cawthon's intention to make this massive children's horror series. I feel like it just kinda accidentally happened. Security Breach, however, was when I realized that, yeah, this is a kid's game. I mean, come on, you control a literal child and are best friends with this new Freddy. It's like a twisted take on Pokemon. Security Breach finally allowed the player to walk around and explore, as opposed to just sitting in a chair and looking at an iPad. There's a lot more world building and dialogue in this game, being very straightforward with the plot and what's going on. I do like that aspect of the game, but it's just so whatever as a whole. As a horror game, it's not very scary. The animatronics aren't torn apart or creepy looking. Heck, they're meant to be as cute and friendly looking as possible since Freddy's Pizzeria is open at this time. They all share the same animations too. So when you're being chased, it's just a generic walk cycle for everyone. Oh, and if they do get you, that's it. The camera shakes a little bit and you get this tiny little scream. I always felt like the jump scares were the glue that held these games together. The jump scares in past games were purposefully obnoxious and intrusive, giving the player real incentive to get good and not get caught, because you don't want to hear Springtrap go blah! So if the jump scares aren't scary, then where's the horror? You forgot the scary! Again though, all of this about FNAF is just my opinion. I know I'm in the minority, with FNAF being one of the biggest horror video game franchises going on today. But there's no denying, with all of the songs and parodies that exist online that are very much obviously targeted for kids,
Can't wait to meet you. So join the animatronic family.
it's a kids series, fight me.
Can't wait to meet you. So join the
But what if a game is aware of its target audience and makes a game that's eerie and creepy, but lacking any real violence or shock value? Well, you get Bendy and the Ink Machine. Now, when this game first dropped, I'll admit, I was immediately hooked. The cartoony aesthetics, the cute yet insanely creepy early Disney mascot, it really managed to stand out amongst the myriad of generic first-person horror games at the time. Seriously, if I had to see one more Slender clone, I was gonna lose it. The player takes control of Henry Stein, a retired animator who returns to his old animation studio and discovers that a magic ink machine has destroyed the entire studio and brought some of his characters to life. And it's up to you to figure out just what the heck is going on. The horror is all in the atmosphere, again taking a normally beloved setting for children, in this case Disney, and making it just distorted enough to make you want to cancel your Disney Plus subscription. The main form of gameplay will have you solving puzzles and listening to the lore of bootleg Disneyland. There is some minor combat, but since all the monsters are made of ink, you can get around smashing them into a million pieces and not having it be super violent. If mom's watching you play this, she won't bat an eye. For me though, the game plays it a little too safe. There are some creepy jump scares, don't get me wrong, but that's all they are. Scares that get you in the moment, but don't have any real lingering threat with its presence. I want to compare it to a horror game that I genuinely can't play for more than 5 minutes without spiking my adrenaline. Outlast. In Outlast, you play as a journalist as you investigate this psych ward that's been overrun by homicidal patients. For some reason, you didn't come strapped to a place like this, so all you have at your disposal is your crappy handheld camera that gives you night vision and your wits. You're completely on your own to run around and hide from these maniacs. There are plenty of jump scares, don't get me wrong, however, there's always a continuous lingering threat that never goes away. Not once do you ever feel like you're in a safe room or that a psycho isn't just going to burst through a secret door at any second to try and hunt you down. There are no weapons you can use, not even a rusty pipe or a piece of wood, nothing. You're never safe. Any noise you hear will have you frantically spin around to see if someone's behind you. I seriously can't play this for more than 5 minutes, that wasn't a joke. Now, going back to Bendy and the ink machine, whenever you're in a room that has an obvious puzzle you need to solve, you know you're not going to be attacked randomly for taking too long. Or when there's a cutscene playing out, you know that there's going to be some kind of timed jump scare. Nothing is going to feel sporadic or chaotic, which believe me, I do like and prefer. I could actually play Bendy and the ink machine and found it to be a much more enjoyable experience than Outlast. Mainly because I'm a big baby. I'm not judging Bendy and the ink machine as a game in general, but as a horror game. It's horror in the same way that Courage the Cowardly Dog is horror. Yes, there are unsettling themes and creepy images that'll make an impact on you, but there's nothing too obscene that would make a parent upset. It's a really fun game. I don't want that message to be buried under anything. I would recommend this game for a fun time, but more so if you're in the mood for a world with a creepy atmosphere and a fun story to tell, with occasional jump scares. But hey, what about a game that fails as a horror game and a game as a whole? Well, you get Hello Neighbor. Man, this game was insanely hyped up before its official release. Let's Players were all over it, wanting to like it, and the creators were desperately trying to get MatPat's attention to fill in the blanks of the secrets within this game and find out the lore like he did with Five Nights at Freddy's. It was incredibly desperate and embarrassing to see. Just looking at all these Twitter screenshots makes me feel so bad for them. Hey MatPat, just checking in, seeing if you saw our previous 11 tweets. First off, the game looks like shit, I'm sorry. They were clearly going for some quirky Dr. Seuss looking world, which maybe in a vacuum in a different game could work. But look at this. How is this supposed to be scary? Okay, fine. Maybe you want to say that they want this neighborhood to look like any old neighborhood, that a crazy psycho could live among us in any suburban neighborhood. Okay then. How about make the setting a cloudy day, or not have this massive cartoony house? Even when you break into his house and find the supposed creepy areas of it, it's still adorably quirky. If you walked into his house and it slowly turned into Outlast, then sure, I'd say that's an amazing swerve that unsuspecting players would be terrified of. But no, I feel like at any second we're gonna cook green eggs and ham. The story of this game is that the player finds themselves moving into a new house across the street from a mysterious neighbor who is behaving in a paranoid manner and seems to be keeping a secret in his basement. The player's task is to break into the neighbor's home and solve a series of puzzles to gather items needed to unlock and access his basement, all while trying to break and enter into your neighbor's home with no substantial evidence that he's even evil apart from you get that vibe from him. He'll be chasing you around at somewhat of a brisk pace. That's it. And when he catches you, it's fine because he just shakes you a little bit and you just respawn back at your house across the street and can just go over there again to try and break and enter. So if there's no consequences and no real threat, if the atmosphere isn't scary and we're instead just spending all of our time solving mind-numbingly boring puzzles, where's the scary? Hell, scratch that, where's the fun? This game feels like one big escape room, spending your time solving puzzles while occasionally being chased. When the game was in early development back in 2017, people felt like the game had potential. Sure, it was pretty basic with the puzzles and simple scares, but again, it's in beta. Once it's actually finished and will be more polished, there should be an actual game here. But no, the game released and it was the same as the beta, but longer. There are some cutscenes and eventual story progression moments, but the game just drags on, having you spend all the time solving stupid puzzles that aren't fun. That by the time something eventually happens, you don't care anymore. There's a sequel apparently that I never played or even knew existed. It honestly looks the same as the first thing, so if you're into that first game, then hey, the sequel's for you. But enough of this. Let's hop on the bus and head to school.
Welcome to Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning. That's me.
Thank you for that. Baldi's Basics in Education and Learning, a game that parodies those old cheesy educational PC games like Sonic Schoolhouse. You take control of a kid whose friend forgets 7 notebooks at the local school, but can't get them himself because he would be late for eating practice. That's actually what they say. So you have to wander the school and enter different rooms to find all 7 notebooks. When you find one, however, Baldi, one of the teachers, will question you with 3 basic math equations you need to solve, with the third one always being a corrupted mess that's impossible to answer. And Baldi, well, he don't like that. Because with every answer you get wrong, Baldi will chase you faster and faster throughout the school, waiting to spank you with his ruler, which isn't good for anyone. Along with Baldi are many other NPCs that exist only to get in your way and stop you. If you're caught running in the halls, the principal will put you in the detention center for a few seconds, where Baldi can hunt you down and you just have to sit there until your detention is up. Then there's the jump rope girl, where if you run into her, you'll have to play a game of, you guessed it, jacks. No, it's jump rope, where you need to execute 3 perfectly timed jumps in order to be able to escape. There's keys to collect to open shortcuts, a bully you need to buy snacks for so he won't block your path. It really feels like school, where everyone is just in your way and driving you insane. It's a really intense game, needing to learn the layout of the school and where your best exit strategies are in case you get cornered by Baldi. Because if he catches you once, it's game over and you need to start again. Now, while the game can be intense, is it actually scary?
You're doing fantastic. You did great.
No. Whenever Baldi catches you, the game just lets out an irritatingly loud noise, which again, sure, is startling. It doesn't have any long-lasting fear effect. You're not horrified of hearing the sound again, you're just gonna be annoyed. The visuals are honestly really charming though. Having that 90s PC game vibe where everything looks like garbage while still being super colorful, all of the NPCs are purposefully poorly drawn. You know, it's really charming to look at and feels like hopping into a time machine to a simpler time. But again, it's not scary. After you collect all the notebooks, Baldi will then scream like he's in an Xbox party chat telling you to leave while the school turns creepypasta blood red.
Congratulations! You found all 7 notebooks. Now all you need to do is get out while you still can!
Is this scary? No. It's again intense, yeah, but that's it. Watching speedruns of this game is honestly impressive, and of course Let's Players actually take these games to the next level. However, if you do like this game's format but actually want to be scared, then I'd recommend Advanced Education with Victor Strobovsky. It's literally the same concept as Baldi, needing to collect items, avoiding all NPCs, answering math questions, etc. However, the atmosphere here is much more threatening. The hallways are dimly lit, never knowing what's ahead of you. The ceiling is so close to the ground, really giving you this feeling of claustrophobia, and that if something were to chase you, you'd really feel trapped. The creatures are also a lot more disturbing visually. The first time you see them, you'll definitely be in shock as to what the hell is lurking in this school, wanting to avoid them by any means necessary. I'd recommend playing Baldi's for the challenge and the charm, and Victor's for the nightmares and horrors. Which leads us to a game that I honestly don't really care about, but a lot of people clearly do. Poppy Playtime. Now this game is incredibly popular, I'm fully aware of that. A lot of people love this game and I can totally see the appeal, but good god, is it just the culmination of every children's horror game trope thrown into one. In Poppy Playtime, you play as a former employee of Playtime Co., who returns to the abandoned toy factory after receiving a letter from the staff who were thought to have disappeared 10 years ago. You're then given this backpack with brightly colored red and blue hands that can extend outwards to solve puzzles, which again is the main form of gameplay here. Solving puzzles in a dark room, just kinda waiting for the monster to show up. Chapter 1 feels like it kinda drags on with the puzzle solving. There's never any threat of a monster showing up, which I get, they want to build tension before revealing the sharp teeth Arlo, but seriously man, it isn't scary solving puzzles. The atmosphere doesn't feel threatening if you don't tease the monster. Like, I should feel like Arlo can pop out at any second, but he never does. The chase scene with the monster is also not that interesting. If he catches you, you get a typical Five Nights at Freddy's-like jump scare. Poppy's Playtime has a chapter system, where it's all one game, but chapters get released whenever they get around to it. Chapter 2 is honestly much of the same, more puzzles to solve and occasionally seeing the creepy little monster. I just wish there was more creepy ambiance and moments like this. When your horror game is 95% puzzles and 5% jump scares, it's just not for me. Which leads us to the beginning of this video with the Garten of Bonbon. Again, the name is stupid as hell and nothing I ever want to say out loud ever again. But you know what? I was worked. I was played by this game. Because apparently, the Garten of Bonbon is a parody of all of those children's horror games. Oh, everything from the stupid name, stupid colorful monsters, stupid childhood setting, and stupid puzzles to solve. You're basically set in this preschool and need to escape before all the cute characters come to life and eat your pancreas. It's a parody done so well, in fact, I'm genuinely wondering if it was made to be a parody from the beginning. Or if enough people played it and said the game was full of stupid children's horror game tropes that the developers were like, haha, yeah, no, it's meant to be a joke. You know what I mean? Because as a parody, it doesn't really make sense. When you're doing everything that these children's horror games do without any hint of irony, is it really a parody? Like, what makes this a parody? It looks no better or worse than Poppy Playtime. These creatures clearly have some effort put into them to be somewhat creepy. I mean, again, look, this game isn't like the worst thing ever. I'm just so over seeing the bright, colorful monsters in this bright, colorful world. Where the horror comes from, let's take a children's thing and make it scary. Heck, the more I talk about this game, the more I kinda hate it. I don't know, man. If you want a horror game done in the style of a children's game done well, then let's check out Andy's Apple Farm. Andy's Apple Farm, on the surface, looking like any old educational game from the 90s that you would play on your PC. Similar to titles like Putt Putt, it has this grainy CRT filter and the characters' voices sound really low quality, giving it that feeling of authenticity.
Oh, hi, Andy. We're just having a picnic. Care to join us?
Of course I would.
Hello, Andy.
You play as Andy, this anthropomorphic Apple character, and meet up with your friends, who all want to play a game with you, where if you win, you'll get the special prize.
Oh wow, what's the prize? That would break the surprise, would it not? Oh yeah, I guess you are.
It's the key to your house.
Immediately, you're threatened, basically forced to play these minigames with your supposed friends if you want the key to your own house back. And if these are your friends, why are they doing this to you? Well, no time to think about it really, I guess. We first meet up with Melody, a moon girl who challenges us to a game of DDR, or Friday Night Funkin' if you're a cool kid. The game itself isn't super challenging, but the music is purposefully offbeat, making it kinda difficult to hit the buttons in conjunction with the music. After that, we get our sticker and look for another character to play a minigame with, until the game encounters an error, with text that says, "She's not gone, she's still here." Of course, we have no idea what this means, and instead have to actually reboot the game like nothing happened. Like, we just experienced a normal PC game crash. The next friend we encounter is Klaus. He's some clock character who wants to play I Spy with him. It's all basic stuff. I spy something red, I spy something green. But then he says he spies something dangerous. Is it this oddly placed axe? Well, according to that face, I think we might be right. The game once again glitches out, and now we're in control of Klaus, wandering this forest until a demented form of Andy chases us with an axe. Before anything happens though, we cut to someone chopping up another person with an axe. The person with the axe is named Thomas, as we learn through this dialogue of the victim pleading with Thomas to stop. With Thomas, of course, not listening and instead just shouting, "You killed them!" Only to then have a horrifying realization of what he's done. The game cuts to black. And alright, we got our sticker for completing the I Spy minigame. That's awesome! Yeah, no further explanation on that for now. Just have to keep playing the game to get Andy's key back. Up next is Margaret, who asks us to drop the correct fruit in the corresponding baskets. It's kinda tedious, but super easy. After that though, the game just hard cuts again to a couple arguing, seemingly over the loss of their child, saying it was an accident and that it couldn't be helped. Again, we're left in the dark of what this all really means. The next minigame is with Felix, who's some kind of fish character, and his minigame has us, well, yeah, fishing. You need to grab the fish while avoiding the pollution. It's a little challenging. All is going well until our third fish never appears, and instead we're now fishing for a person. All while Andy starts to glitch out. When the human reaches the surface, we cut to Felix, but instead of his cutesy cartoon voice, we hear what seems to be police chatter.
According to the Pumpkin County Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the scene yesterday, October 14. The victim, a 10-year-old male, and his sister fell off a rowboat late at night.
The person in the river was a little boy, seemingly the ones that the parents were arguing about in the previous scene. Felix then cuts out with only his eyes remaining. I don't know why, but goddamn is this so unsettling. On with some good news though. Andy has collected all of his bonus stickers, which means he wins the prize. You know, the key to his own house.
So where are my keys? Oh, they're just through there. In there?
Yup, just go right through that door.
It's so intimidating. These cute characters smiling the biggest smiles known to man, essentially threatening Andy, demanding that he goes into the barn to get his keys. Of course, with no other choice, Andy goes in. Or naturally, yeah, your friends shut the door behind you and you're now locked inside this dark barn. Needing to look for your keys, you're only illuminated by your eyes and nothing else. However, you're not in this barn alone, needing to find your way out while avoiding the ominous stalking eyes. You eventually meet up with these eyes though, and learn that his name is Peter, the pumpkin. He forces you to play a game of tag. Once you catch him, however, you teleport to this forest, where Andy is forced to grab the axe and transforms into the human that chopped up his friend in the earlier cutscene. He freaks out until our game starts to corrupt. And of course, we get a silly little jump scare. But don't worry, I'm not going to show you, I'm not into that. And just like that, the game ends, leaving us with so many questions that I don't think we're supposed to have the answers to. Unless you're Matthew Patrick. I absolutely adore this game, mainly because I feel like it does what a lot of these modern children's horror games have failed to do. And that's to actually make me feel unsettled. In a lot of the games we talked about, the fear and scares come from a loud noise and a big creature in your face, and that's it. Andy's Apple Farm presents itself as a game that you never know when it'll turn on you. You're safe 1 second, and immediately 1 second later, the game is freaking out and trying to tell you something. I love this game and feel like the children's horror genre can learn something from this. Or you could just make a giant spider train game, and that's pretty spooky as well. All in all, I don't hate any of these games we talked about. I just wanted to talk about a trend that's clearly taken over the internet and dictated the direction of these kind of games. It's clear a lot of these devs are trying to make a game that's YouTuber friendly, something Markiplier will make a video on and have all the 8-year-olds go crazy over and smash their iPads. But hey, don't let that deter you from enjoying anything. If you're someone who wears Bendy and the Ink Machine underwear, then you wear that with pride. And if you're someone who draws that kind of fan art of Chica, then you deserve therapy.